All right. So I figure we can get started. If people trickle in, that's okay. We'll likely make this presentation available as part of our coffee break series, which is online. And if you hadn't had a chance to check that out, it is on Krembil's YouTube page. And what you'll find is a series of videos, essentially a playlist of videos that will go through kind of some media training tips, talking about your work, how to pitch to external media, how to sort of translate your scientific findings into something that's a bit more digestible for the lay public, because not a lot of people have that in-depth science knowledge that some of our researchers, trainees, PIs, and staff do. So today, I'll introduce myself. My name is Twain. I'm part of Krembil Public Affairs. You likely know my colleague Heather Sherman as well. She's on vacation today, probably soaking up the sun because the weather looks wonderful. And our newest member of our public affairs team is Sarah, who's also going to be delivering this presentation with me as well. So today we're going to talk about the importance of social media and how that can play a role in telling the story of your research. So our audiences are, they're on their phone. And today, most people, they check Instagram before they check some people's websites. So Instagram kind of has become the new homepage. And the best part is that healthcare researchers, people, staff, and trainees are on these apps. So we know that our audience is there, and we know that we can reach our audience through on these apps, and we can share the research that we've been doing in our labs and on the clinical side with our audience on these apps, which is kind of nice, right? These apps are very accessible, easy to use for the most part, and it's just a matter of putting fun, engaging content on there. So I'll kind of dive into Instagram because that's going to be sort of our main focus, and really it's one of the largest social media apps, and we're looking to leverage it. Krembil does have an Instagram. If you aren't following us, do give us a follow. It's at Krembil RI, and we showcase cool stuff all the time. Whether it's researcher awards, training features, or our podcast, which is Your Complex Brain. If you haven't checked that out, it's on Apple and Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. But with Instagram, the nice thing is that there's so many people on there. It's actually ahead of LinkedIn and Twitter. I find LinkedIn and Twitter is great for organizations like ours, which is healthcare focused, and you can have academic and healthcare conversations on Twitter. But with LinkedIn, you can sort of recognize, career achievements, awards, and things like that. So for our institution, those two platforms do work really well, and we do have some engagement, or really high engagement, on both those platforms. But what about Instagram? I feel like we can have a good, platform. We can have some good content on this platform as well.
As many of you guys may know, one of the biggest features of Instagram is its videos. So this includes Instagram stories that are only available up to 24 hours, shorter reels, and longer IGTV videos. So in fact, according to one of the recent statistics published by Meta, approximately 86% of all Instagram users create at least one Instagram story daily. So people's attention span is getting much shorter and shorter, which means that quality videos with creative content can better communicate and convey ideas more easily than reading blogs or just looking at images. So our audience, who would probably prefer a short and sweet 30 to 40-second videos than reading a whole paragraph or two of caption on Instagram. So Instagram video stories actually tend to get twice as much engagement compared to any other types of posts on the same platform. So we can see that Instagram videos are essential and very important to communicating and reaching to a larger pool of audiences.
So Instagram at Krembil, like I said, we have one, and it's kind of nice that we do have one because we're always able to sort of celebrate our researchers and staff. And the goal is to really, enhance and amplify existing stories. Heather, Sarah, and I are often putting together stories for UHN News, which is the first thing you'll see on the intranet when you log in to a UHN workstation. So the real goal is to sort of drive more traffic and to educate as well. Also, we're looking at spotlighting, trainees, staff, and the whole team. There are other aspects to research that people don't necessarily get to see. If I think of certain staff, like say Frank, he basically kind of is the person you call when you're having issues with your equipment, and if you need to troubleshoot something or you need to place an order for reagents or things like that, or just something that Frank knows how to do, but no one else knows how to do. I think that's really cool and things that we can highlight and those types of role, because there's tons of stuff like that at Krembil, and we can look to kind of share their stories and how they also contribute to research. And again, at the end of the day, we're really going to showcase our experts and our expertise because we want to be known as the top institute for brain, vision, and arthritis research. And I think we are. So why not show that to the rest of Toronto and the world? So how do we do it? That's the big question. How do we do it?
One of the most common content that we'll probably be seeing is doing educational posts where we get to address and answer some of the major health concerns that the public may have. At Krembil, we have a lot of experts in all their fields. So this is a great way to answer any questions or communicate thoughts and opinions that they may have. So we can be creative and just really get our message across and out there.
And you guys are always advancing your fields, right? With the research findings and your impactful papers. So, when you publish a paper, usually you'll either contact Heather, myself, or Sarah, and we might say like, okay, how do we promote this? Well, we could probably say, oh, this could be a cool short, 30 to 45-second Instagram reel, or a short video that we could share with the public. And that's also one way that we can do it. In addition, we can show off all the cool science and healthcare tools that we use. We've got some great tools that help contribute or help push the research forward. If I think about the 3D printers in Dr. Michael Reber's lab, and then the sequencer, which does sit in Dr. Kapoor's lab, but it's accessible to all of Krembil. And then the imaging facilities up on, I think, the 8th floor as well. So I think all these areas of Krembil are really cool, and people don't get to see these kind of tools, and we can show them how they work, what they do, what they image.
Another fun content to do is to let the public know some of the cool science facts. So you can be very creative with these kind of videos. For example, you could start by saying, did you know? And then kind of follow it by acting out, and then follow with the actual stats or fact about the science. So you can really have fun and be creative with these ones.
Yeah, and also employee recognition. So tons of our PIs and trainees and staff win awards all the time. And wouldn't it be great if, you shot like a 20-30 second video of them receiving the award, what the award is, and if it actually has any implications to, pushing research forward? Because a lot of these awards come with some sort of funding that'll help, your experiments, or contribute to designing new experiments and things like that. You can also kind of do trends, why not? I don't think dancing in the lab is against UHM policy, unless Amy wants to correct me. So you can do some fun stuff with your lab, and I think that just fosters a bit more camaraderie. And science is meant to be fun, as much as some roles and some parts of science is sitting at the lab bench and can seem very siloed. There's still the interaction with your lab mates, your PIs, and the other staff, and together, science is a sort of team sport, really. And so you can jump on some fun trends as a lab, and kind of show that UHN is a fun place to work.
Yeah, just adding on that, a day in a life would be like a similar kind of video. You could really have fun, and it's more so on the casual side of content. This is like the kind of video where you get to bring viewers around your lab and highlight some of the members in your lab, showcase cool science or just interaction, be socialized and have fun with like your lab members. You can let people know and see that science is not just boring. Like you can have fun, you can have friends, make friends in the lab and just be creative with these ones.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, the Karun Singh Lab, who is on the seventh floor, seventh south, and they're part of Donald K. Johnson. They are very close knit. Sarah and I filmed some sequences for the Research Day video, if you guys saw, and they were just having fun. And it's so great to see that energy. And I know it can, it's not always the case. Sometimes you don't see lab members often, or you're not in as often, but there is that opportunity for a lot of camaraderie as well. So don't shy away from getting to know some of your lab mates and your staff. Also, just a last kind of note here, content that doesn't necessarily fit a UHN news story. Things like, if you got like a new sort of a piece of equipment, we're not necessarily going to write a UHN news story for it, but we can make a short video about it and talking about how it can contribute to the research. And you'll kind of see some examples later on in the presentation. So we do need you for us to do this. Sarah and I we have the communication skills and we can put together these videos for sure, but you guys know your research best, right? So you guys are the experts. You know where the field is at for your research, and we really want you guys to tell us a story. Tell us a little bit about the disease. I know it can be very hard because diseases are very complex in their nature, and you might feel the need to include everything about that disease in your description, but I think if you can sort of summarize it in 1 to 2 sentences, I think that's even better. And you can talk about the significance of your research, any of the cool equipment that you use. You can talk about your PI because, I think mentorship is a huge part of the academic community. And without mentors, we really wouldn't be able to push the field forward or push science forward. And these mentors really help shape who we are as researchers and who you might become as researchers. So that those sort of relationships are also important to highlight, I find. And I think people need to know that, again, we all work together in science to discover and find cures and treatments and things like that. So, and like I said, people check organizations' Instagram first. So again, show them why Krembil is fun to work. And I think with all the trainees that I've spoken to in the past, they always say, the interactions they have with lab members and PIs and staff is always something that they really value with their time here at Krembil.
So what are we really looking for in these kind of videos? So one of the major ones is to really have photos or video clips of your research. So this could be, I guess, like we mentioned, lab tools, fun science images, or just like really get out there and really talk about your research, be passionate, like let us know what you're doing. These could be like very short and sweet, like 30 seconds to a minute maximum, and we could edit and just make them fun. So one thing to really keep in mind here is to be sure to shoot vertically because these goes on TikTok and Instagram videos. So make sure the videos are shot vertically, and feel free to send us your clip and images. Like we could help you edit or help you find creative ways to really put them together.
And the goal is to really use plain language. I think that's really key. And again, we can help you with that, right? That's part of our job. And we love doing that too, is taking something that's so complex, sort of distilling it down, still maintaining, the sort of details that it's supposed to tell people, but not making it so science jargon heavy, right? And also you want to talk about why it's important. Why do you enjoy doing research? I think people, once they relate to the person that's in the story or the video, they're more likely to sort of stay on the video rather than like swipe away. So if you connect with them that way, I think that's always a good tip for when you're shooting your content. Also, if you can, I know the labs can get noisy. The fume hoods, the air sort of circulation filtration systems, the HVAC is quite loud. So getting good audio can be a bit of a challenge. And again, you can do voiceover stuff as well, right? Like, you can just show clips of your lab, and then in a voiceover, you can tell the story of what we're seeing on screen. Also, I guess these are casual, they don't have to be so rigid and stiff. I think depending on or how you're shooting these videos, like you're shooting them with your phone most of the time, and they're meant to be fun, and you want to show some enthusiasm, right? So just get loose, get comfortable, do it with a couple friends. Maybe in an afternoon, you got a half hour or something between experiments. See if you want to try something with your lab mates or something like that. So, and if you have an idea, get in touch. Let us know. It's like, hey, I have this idea, but I'm not sure what I want to do or where I want it to go. Can you kind of help me distill this a bit? And we're happy to do that as well.
And my thesis project is currently here behind me, which is we're trying to introduce 3D printing to create silk scaffolds to study the regeneration of renal ganglion cells. The main goal of the project is to eventually validate this method, this 3D printing method, and then use these scaffolds to study things like what kind of trophic factors will enhance regeneration of renal ganglion cells. And what that opens up is that it gives us potential to then go into the clinical side and start answering questions as can we repair a broken spine or a part of the central nervous system that's damaged by using these fibers to serve as bridges to help regain that lost network.
So that was sort of an example of sort of cool science toys, as well as how that also contributes to the research that we do at Krembil. So, Eduardo, he was great at explaining what the method was and what it's used for and how it can help research. And in this case, it was for regeneration, which I think is a really cool field in itself because, people with spinal cord injury or loss of vision, regenerative medicine is a very interesting field, and there's a lot of research going on. So I think that was great. A lot of these videos were very off the seat of our pants, and we kind of just went into the labs. We're like, hey, do you want to do this? And so the only thing with that is we'd maybe sort of translate some of those scientific terms into something that's a little more easier to understand. But again, this was a great example, short example of, a quick video that we could put together to explain that type of research that Eduardo does. So this is a second example here.
Hi, my name is Starlee Lively, and I'm the sequencing specialist at the Shoulder Arthritis Institute's Center for Diagnostic and Therapeutic Innovation. Here at the Institute, we like to work with the Krembil investigators to meet their sequencing needs to help answer their research questions. We do this using our high-throughput benchtop sequencer from Illumina. We recently used microRNA sequencing to identify 4 microRNAs in the blood of spine osteoarthritis patients at the time of surgery that then predicted their 1-year pain responses. This is going to help, hopefully in the future, spine surgeons to then predict which patients are going to respond well to surgery. And this will help reduce patient wait time, burden on their doctors, as well as reduce healthcare spending.
So that's also cool too. Again, it's a cool tool for Krembil, and again, it's something that sort of does help in terms of clinical outcomes as well. So Star did a great job explaining how that machine helps research and also can help make clinical decisions, which affects a broader patient population. This last one is just a fun one. I thought this one could be more, I guess, for TikTok, but I think it'll do well on Instagram as well.
This is what your retinal cells look like under a microscope.
So that one's a bit more, I guess, trendy or fun. Again, there's a little bit of inaccuracy there. Those weren't all retinal cells, but you get the idea. The example that we sort of put together is that you could show really colorful imaging sequences or things like that from your experiments, and those do really, really well on social media because people are like, "Oh, what is this fluorescent thing?" And then you have the opportunity for follow-up content to talk about what those things are, how they play a role in either the human body or the brain or wherever or whatever sort of area that you're studying. And it's short and quick, and people sort of gravitate to those bright, colorful images. So it's just 3 different types of content that we wanted to kind of give you an example of, and how we could integrate that into sort of Instagram Reels. And really, we're hoping that we can get trainees to showcase some of this stuff because you guys really know the research well and do a lot of these experiments and have the expertise in some of these protocols. Oops. Whoops. Let's go to the next slide. Now, if you are on social media already, there are some guidelines. So this is on the UHN intranet as well under public affairs. I've kind of just left this up here just for your own sort of browsing, just so you can have an idea and sort of kind of stick to some of these guidelines if you are posting sort of UHN content. A few things I'll just sort of mention is that you should be wearing lab gloves and a lab coat if you are in the lab and you are posting on social media or externally, or in general. Actually, that's just a good rule of thumb because of lab safety protocols. Of course, be wearing your mask because we are still masked for sure. And get consent. If you are taking photos of your lab or your lab mates, just make sure it's okay with them. We do have consent forms, so we're happy to share those documents with you if you decide to make a video with with someone other than yourself. So those are just some of the high level stuff that I wanted to go over. But again, all this documentation is on the public affairs website. And then lastly, if you got ideas, reach out to us. So we are here to help, and our emails are here. And I guess, yeah, if you got any questions, I know, Sarah, if you want to add anything.
I think you cover everything.
Yeah. Let us know if you guys have any questions.
So if anybody has any questions, we welcome you to unmute yourself. We do have a smaller group today. So I would just say, just holler if you have a question.
Yeah.
If you don't have access to a microphone, or if you're a little bit shy, feel free to also type your question in the chat. We'll read it out on your behalf. I am going to kickstart the questions. I do have a question. Twain, you mentioned the last video featuring yourself was something that you would probably consider for TikTok. So how does one decide, if I know we're talking about Instagram here, how do we decide whether something should go into TikTok or Instagram? And I know that, oftentimes when you post, you can post cross-platform. So how do you strategize that?
That's a good question. I think Sarah, you want to answer the TikTok side of it. I think it really depends, because you could really use, if you create a vertical video, you can really put it on both platforms and see how well it does. I think the shorter stuff, like that last one, stuff that's, it's like, oh, this is what your brain looks like under a microscope, or you could do fun dance stuff. I don't know, Sarah, if you want to explain what does well on TikTok, if you have an idea. Yeah.
I think just because TikTok's algorithm works very uniquely, TikTok sometimes will only target people who already have an interest in science or work in the science field to see videos like that. So I would say with videos like that, you could post on both Instagram and TikTok, but Instagram might be able to reach a larger audience group, where TikTok is more so targeted on specific individuals who already have an interest in that area.
Yeah.
And is the goal of these then to cast a wide net and just try to hit up everybody on Instagram, or is it actually better to be more targeted with a community or a platform which might have a little bit more specific interest in science?
I think the goals of these videos is really to reach a large pool of audience, more so reaching out to people who may not already have an interest in science, but would or like they might have some interest in science, but they do not work in the science field. And these kind of videos may really get them engaged and wanting to maybe pursue a path in science or like know someone who might be interested.
Yeah, I think also, there might be a slight element of recruitment retention to some of these videos too, because if someone is in their later years of university and they're thinking about what to do, they might come across, and they're scrolling Instagram or TikTok and they're like, oh, this is what I could do at Krembil in terms of a project, or this is some of the cool science stuff that's going on at Krembil, and it could maybe help them kind of make their decision about being in science. So. Lewis, I thought you saw your hand up there.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yeah.
I actually is a member of TENS CRND, which has a space at Krembil. I'm just wondering, like, what is available for the TENS CRND staff to able to get access to equipment and stuff like that, if any?
That's a good question. I think that's a question
Lewis,
for
would you
Amy.
mind clarifying what you mean by getting access to equipment? Like what sort of equipment are you
You mentioned something like on a 9484, there's some shared facilities that the researchers could use, right? And in our lab, we have both U of T and also UHM members, right? So just wondering if both of them could actually have access to these equipment.
Okay, I think that sounds like it's access to like equipment for use, and maybe this sits outside of the Instagram and our coffee break content. Maybe we can take this offline and we can discuss it, because I don't think Sarah or Twain can answer that question.
No problem.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually, this is actually very good, and some researchers are quite interested in TikTok and tweets, right? So I just don't know if they can actually do the same thing as the other UHM researchers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take that offline. We have a question from Emily who typed into the chat. She thanks you for the session. Also wondering if she or other Krembil community members send you some videos, are you able to add music to them? Or I'm going to extend this question further. Are you able to guide them on how to add their own music? And what sort of music should we be thinking about?
Sure. I'll kind of take this first part, and then Sarah, feel free to add on to anything. So I know depending on the Instagram account has music already built in. So the nice thing is that you can pick from whatever's trending, and if you're using trending audio, it can sort of reach far and wide. I'm about TikTok. I think you do the same thing, right, Sarah?
Yes. Yeah. They have
Sorry,
like a
go ahead.
bank of music that you could. But we're also like, we can also help you edit the video if needed. So we could add in the music for you. You just have to send us the raw clips, and we're more than happy to help with editing.
Yeah, and I think the only difference is that if there's a TikTok, if I know this is for TikTok, we don't have a TikTok yet, just kind of floating the idea. But I know if there's if the account holder has a business account with TikTok, you're kind of limited in terms of what you can use in terms of sound. But I think that's the only other consideration. So, yeah.
So Sarah, you mentioned that, interested parties can send you a video, you can help add music. What if somebody wanted to be a little bit more hands-on and kind of like a DIY? Are there any programs that you can recommend that people could use to add their own music in?
As Twain said, like TikTok and Instagram already have a lot of built-in music. And with these kind of videos, because it's very casual, you could just edit them on your phone. One of the program I actually use on my phone is called InShot.
InShot, I think.
InShot, yes. Yeah. It's very easy to use, and you can like do a lot of cool stuff with it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Does that answer your question? Does that help, Emily? Yes, amazing. She's still too shy to go on microphone. So we have come up to just past the half-hour mark. Does anybody have any last-minute questions? If you can't think of them, but as you are trying to dabble in it, you come across questions, Twain and Sarah did share their contact information. Maybe you want to flash it up one more time.
Yes.
They can reach out to you. If you don't remember, You can always contact Krembil at uhnresearch.ca, and then our main office can triage your email to the appropriate person to help you. This is our first session. Those of you who have been with the Institute for a few years know that we have been running summer coffee breaks, and it's always been very well attended. This year, we're doing a little bit of a mini session just because there's so much going on, such as the podcast, and everybody wants to enjoy the sunshine. Feel free to share with your colleagues, let them know about this. The next session is in 2 weeks, so we're not doing this every Friday. It's going to be every other. And what's the topic again, guys?
It is, oh my gosh, where's the poster? I will tell you. The topic is help us help you promote your work. So that's really going to focus on translating your scientific findings, your research papers, and helping us understand how we can promote that work that you're doing, and the significance of the paper, and where we can pitch it to, and what sort of platforms would do well to promote your scientific research.
Okay.
And I think then on August 19th is a bit of media training. So mark that in your calendars as well. So if you are looking to be at conferences, or, you know, talk on podcasts, or any sort of media outlet, we'll be offering some tips August 19th for that session.
Okay, amazing. And for any of your colleagues who missed this session, or if you want to review it, we did record the session. We will be sharing a link, as we have in past summers, in our roundups and through our central messaging. So thanks very much for joining us this morning. We hope you have a lovely Friday and weekend ahead, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.